Welcome to the Space Jam.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Nerd Holes. Will and I just got back from seeing Across the Spider-Verse. And this is the second movie, obviously, in the Spider-Verse Sony's animated movie. And we had heard before we went that there was going to be a third one.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we'll talk a little bit later how that is relevant. But yeah, so this movie literally just came out yesterday, opening weekend. So before we do any like major spoilers, why don't we just quickly talk about like our overall like feeling on the movie, like if we thought it was better or not as good. So why don't you start, Will?
Okay. I think really the most it's tough. I like this movie differently than the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're kind of different movies in a sense.
Yeah.
Not like in a bad way. Like, well, this movie is so different. It just I feel like the tone of the first movie is more about like this the collider and him trying to like find himself and like is he actually Spider-Man? Should he be Spider-Man? What does it mean to be Spider-Man? And this movie is more about like um the things that he has no control over that make him Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I just think tonally it just was a little different. It's hard because it's like I like this movie a lot, but I also can't in the same sentence say I like it more than the first one, but not because it's bad. It's just I feel like they're just so wildly different. I don't feel like this movie was a lot more, I don't know, pulled more at like heartstrings and just made you feel more. I don't know, it just made you feel more bad for the kid than the first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think going along with that, I think tonally this movie is like drastically different. And that's funny considering that like in the first movie, like Peter Parker dies like in the beginning and like Miles is alone and it's all about like his journey into becoming Spider-Man.
Right.
But this is like this deals more with like, and this movie like right off the bat was like immediately more like crazy.
Yeah.
Like
yes.
Like the Spider-Verse stuff is like insane, you know?
Right.
And I think that's why I would say like I enjoyed it more because it's just like a lot more stuff going on. And I think I enjoy that. But I also really love the tone of like the first one at like how just it's funny, like back when we like first saw it, you think, oh wow, this is crazy. Like it's Spider-Verse, there's like 5 Spider-Man, everything's kind of nuts. But now, like now you've seen this one, the first one is basically like, oh, it's like a really subdued, like mild, like just story beginning to end. Like here's the story, everything's good, you know. This movie is like not that. And it's a lot more like I would say like the theme is more like adult theme, but it's also more like hardcore like Spider-Man theme. Like what it is to be a Spider-Man and also kind of saying like
what it takes.
No, that's not what I'm in this for, you know?
Yeah.
So but yeah,
I agree.
Honestly, I really enjoyed it. Like I really,
me too.
I had high hopes for it.
Yeah.
But
same.
like during I was just like, man, this is so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It definitely lived up to what I hoped it was going to be. I think it just is one of those weird movies for me that like, you know how like you watch Batman Begins and you're like, yeah, it's fine, it's good, I like it. Then you watch The Dark Knight and you're like, whoa, this movie's amazing, and outshines
Mhm.
the Batman Begins. So then you think about, it's a thing where I thought this. I was initially last night thinking about like, well, here it is, and here's another case of the sequel actually is better than the original. But then I was thinking about it, and I was like, I think it's one of the rare cases that
Yeah.
they just feel like two great movies that just happen to be connected. It's kind of like the original Star Wars trilogy. It's like
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back isn't better than A New Hope, but it also isn't worse than A New Hope. It's just
Yeah,
like
that's
it's a
true.
different feeling to it than the other ones. And I think to your point in the other video we did, like Return of the Jedi is better in the sense of Empire Strikes Back, but at the same time, like it also just has a different feel than the other two movies. And
Yeah.
I think it's one of those cool things that this movie was able to do to just be
It can
so yeah, like be everything, like be better
yeah.
and different and also be connected. Yeah.
But it can totally stand on its own too, is the kind of
Right,
like
exactly.
what I took out of it. Because like if you want to see Miles like origin story, like
Right.
watch Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
But if you want to skip his origin story and see like him being Spider-Man and like this crazy thing he has to deal with, like
Yeah.
that's this movie. Like
Yeah.
you don't necessarily need to see the
No.
first one,
I feel
And,
like the
like
only
obviously
like
you
it's
should because the first one is great.
yeah,
But if you
right.
went into this movie not seeing the first movie, it doesn't really do you any, it pays forward a couple characters here and there, but not enough.
Yeah. I feel like the parent, like him and his parents,
Mm,
like the relationship with his
yeah,
parents,
yeah,
plays off a
that
little bit more. You
that
understand
for
their
sure.
dynamics a little bit
Yeah.
better. And I also think the death of his uncle is a
Hmm.
lot. If you don't really understand, you haven't seen the first movie, like what his uncle actually means to him is like different,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's
But
kind
like you're
of
saying, like
yeah.
other than that, like
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of those like main like family pieces really really tie in at the end of the movie is really where like that kind of
yes,
stuff you really probably should know that stuff.
yes, yeah,
So yeah, we enjoyed it, but yeah, so
yeah,
from this point on, let's go into like full on like spoiler heavy like stuff. Let's
yeah.
yeah,
Uncle Ben dies.
it's true. A lot of them. A lot of Uncle Ben's
So
die.
many Uncle Bens die. And interestingly, which has not really been a beat that they've driven in the other Spider-Man movies, like any of, I mean, I take that back. Amazing Spider-Man does, but the rest of them like don't really touch on the death of Captain Stacy,
That's true.
and it's a thing that like is like if you read the comics, if you watch the cartoon series, like Gwen Stacy and Captain Stacy and all that stuff is like a
Yeah.
pretty big beat in his story, but like mainstream movie media, like it's usually always MJ,
Yes.
you know, and like all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
and even
Yeah, it's
Spider-Man
always
3 that, he gets involved with Gwen Stacy and get Captain Stacy is in it. It's like,
yeah.
it's not
Doesn't
really
matter.
that deep. Yeah.
Mm-mm. No, I think when Gwen was always his first girlfriend in the
That's what
comic.
my understanding is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. Like,
I don't know why they ever picked like MJ being like, the diehard. Well, because I mean it's like his last and she becomes Spider Woman, and it's like this whole thing that they would
yeah,
start there. But
maybe it's like just a thing where it's like, it's that thing in life where it's like you have your first crush and you're like obviously attached to that person in some part of your being, but really the like woman that you end up like falling
yeah.
in love with who heals that pain is the one that you're more connected to. So
Yeah, because obviously he dates Gwen until she dies, and then
right,
he ends up marrying Mary Jane in the future.
right, right, right.
So yeah.
Yeah,
So like cinematically, why just start with MJ, right?
yeah.
But that's
Well,
kind
that's
of one
kind
of
of
the
the thing I
things that
was
I
hoping
really
with.
liked about
Yeah,
Amazing Spider-Man was that
yeah,
like
me too.
they went like full into like here's Gwen Stacy and all that stuff. And I
Yeah.
love Emma Stone as Gwen.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think a little bit I was a little sad that when they introduced Michelle Jones in
Yeah.
a Homecoming, like that they end up
Mm.
making her MJ, and it's like, it just
Yeah, I
it's
know.
fine. I don't care. She's a fine character. It's just like I was like you. I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, they're just gonna
It's
skip the
always
Gwen Stacy stuff
it's,
like
it's
immediately.
always MJ. It's always MJ.
But
It's like Batman always is it's always Talia. Like they always do.
mm-hmm. Like
They always do
eventually,
like
it's
yeah.
either Talia or Catwoman. It's like it's always one or the
Oh,
other. Yeah.
that's more on the nose than Talia al Ghul. It's Catwoman. It's always
Yeah.
yeah. What am I talking? It's always Cat.
It depends, but yeah.
And they can be done fine. Like there's been lots of like Batman stuff with Catwoman that I enjoy, but it's just like always Catwoman.
Yeah. But yeah, I think um so the biggest spoiler is that we were talking about it last night was how the whatever his name is, the Spot, like
Yeah.
in the trailer we thought he was like a stupid
Mm-hmm.
remember the like turtle lizard shell man that he electrocutes on the subway rail and then kicks him
Yeah.
like he's trying to get the cakes to the party on time and he just interacts with
Yeah.
this weird like lizard reptile man and it's like
Yeah.
4 seconds. When we saw the trailer, that's what we thought the Spot guy was going to be, was this like throwaway weirdo thing in the
Legitimately what they
movie.
call him is like villain.
Right.
He's a villain of the week,
Yeah.
but he's
and
so
and he
much
ends
worse than that. Yeah.
yeah, he ends up being like the entire reason for the movie.
And he was a cool villain as far as I thought. Like I thought like his motivation was cool, like his backstory was cool,
Yeah,
and
the
like
thing I
he was
liked is when
fun.
yeah, the thing I liked is when they were he was at the other collider and he was about to and they were trying to stop him from going in. I really liked that every time they said something, he was just like, well, yeah, but not yet. Like he just kept didn't
Mhm.
matter what they said to him. I liked that like he wasn't just ignoring them or like the contemplative, like, maybe I should listen to them. He was just like, no,
Yeah.
no, it's like, no, you aren't the villain of the week. You're my arch nemesis. He's like, not yet. And he just kept going towards the collider. And it's like I liked
Yeah.
how they handled that
Yeah.
type of stuff.
Because he's not an idiot at the end of the day. He's not going to be
Right.
manipulated.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a sucker for that too. I mean, that's why like Thanos is so good, is because like he's a villain,
Mm,
has a goal, and he achieves his goal.
true.
There's not any of this like, so many like superhero movies can become like, oh, well, I want to do this. And then, like
Yeah.
the movie's gonna end with that villain being stopped. Like that's kind of the whole point of a superhero movie.
Yeah.
But in those rare few times where like that doesn't happen, you're just like, oh man, you're left with this weight of like, yeah, this is a really bad dude, and like
Yeah.
the best of the best are like can't stop him or having trouble stopping him.
Right. Right.
And I like that. I like that Spot was that. In the trailer they show you that scene where he's fighting in the like the deli, the grocery store there, and it's almost like you feel like it's the same thing as like when you saw the trailer for Homecoming
Oh,
and he's fighting those dudes wearing like Avengers masks in the bank.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's just a throwaway scene, really.
Right.
But even in that movie, like that whole scene was set up to show that like they had like
Yeah.
alien guns.
And also they weren't just like random bank robbers. They were tied in with the vulture, like
Yeah,
there was a
right.
thing. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. So like it averts your expectation to like, oh, this will just be like a quick scene to show like how Miles is being just a normal like Spider-Man like in
Right.
his day-to-day. But like no,
Right.
like the whole theme was like he Spot was like the bad guy. Like he was taking over the multiverse essentially.
Yeah. 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 It's
And
really
I really liked that he was the bagel guy. I really liked it. It was the guy that they threw a bagel at.
yeah. It was really funny, honestly. they make so many. They make, like you said, it's not like super necessary, but they make so many interesting callbacks to the first movie that like
Yeah.
you just didn't expect, especially like that the bagel thing, because it's like that is a throwaway scene. It's funny, but like it's like a
Yeah.
forget about it scene. But now it's like, well, it's that guy.
Well, it's a funny scene
Yeah,
too because like they're running through the thing and you pointed out in our podcast where you said like that one woman was like, he's got one of our bagels.
yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the overall like theme of this movie, like to talk about it like in depth, I would say is that the Spider-Verse is ran by Spider-Man 2099. Like he's in kind of
Yeah.
control of the Spider-Verse. He had tried to go into another universe where he died, but his family was alive and like take over
Yeah.
and be with
Yeah.
his family. But the multiverse like crashed essentially. And so
Right.
from that, he understood that, like, okay, so like things have to happen in sequential order to maintain the canon of a Spider Man story. So
Right.
every
Right.
Spider
Right.
Man has this canon of like Uncle Ben dies, and Gwen Stacy, Captain Stacy dies, Gwen Stacy died. Like all this stuff has to happen in order for like the timeline to not like implode.
Right.
So what I think is really cool is because even in the first movie, they show you like the spider that bites Miles has a 42 on it. And I had no idea what that meant. I thought that was just like, that was like the 42nd spider
Right.
that
Right. Exactly.
Oscorp was making or working on or whatever, right?
It's also I what I figured was because I'm a big nerd is it is in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The meaning
Uh,
of life is the number 42. So I
42,
thought
yeah.
maybe it was
You
just
do,
like a
but
haha.
it is true. You do see 42 all the time. It's crazy.
Yeah. So
So yeah, so that turns out that like that spider is from Earth 42,
right.
completely different universe. And that means that that universe now does not have a Spider-Man to like take care of it. So Miles had been bitten and he was not supposed to become Spider-Man. And the Peter Parker from his timeline was not supposed to die.
The interesting thing is too. I was just thinking about with that. I just thought about it. Like, what if it isn't even supposed to be like Miles? What if there's a Peter Parker in that
Oh yeah,
Earth 42 that was supposed to get bit? You know?
that is true.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
don't
just don't
know.
know. Yeah,
Because they almost kind of imply that like Miles ends up taking that power away from Miles in the other universe, but maybe
they
it
do
wasn't
very
supposed to be.
heavily imply that, but I just. It's also like, shouldn't there be a Peter Parker in that world too?
Yeah, because the whole like Miles Morales thing anyway is such a non Spider-Man canon thing
Right,
that
right.
like Peter Parker has always been, well, with the Ben Riley too, but that whole like we were talking about last night, that whole like history of like Ben Riley and Scarlet and like all that stuff gets so
Yeah,
like
it's
just
messy.
off the rails. Yeah, so
Yeah,
so then 2099 his whole goal is to like keep Miles there on his
yeah,
planet, his universe, so that his dad can die to complete the canon so that everything doesn't reset.
right,
And he
right.
also said that basically after Kingpin's collider like explodes the first time, like while Peter
Yeah,
Parker is fighting, like that wasn't supposed to happen because Miles wasn't even
yeah,
supposed to be there.
which was really cool. I was like, oh yeah, that
So
would all add up
yeah,
like that. Yeah,
so the first movie ends and you think like, oh, okay, well they fixed that, they fixed the multiverse, they fixed all this stuff. But Spider-Man 2099, that whole time he has been like basically he acts as like the time agent from
yeah,
like Loki. Like he's going around, he's
yeah.
fixing anomalies like in all over the place. So he's got his own like task force, like time agency task force, canon agency task force. And that is
Right.
to me, that's cool. That's a cool concept.
Well, yeah, I mean, because it's the whole. the whole point is that, like you said, he's trying to keep Miles there so that the Spot can kill his dad,
Yeah.
and he wasn't bringing Miles into the loop because you kind of get the impression that he knew that if Miles found out about what was going
Oh, he was gonna stop it immediately. Yeah. And I like that. I like that, like, not like rebellious, but like you have all these Spider-Man that like they're almost kind of like taking a knee to like Spider-Man 2099. They just say like, yeah, that's what we have to do. But Miles is like, I'm first of all, like I'm not a Peter Parker. Like I'm a Miles. Like I'm not just gonna sit by and
right.
let this happen. Like I could care less about any of whatever this crap you're doing with. I could care less about that stuff.
And
I'm
it's
gonna save my
interesting,
dad.
yeah, and it's interesting too if you look at it. Most of the ones who push against the mold are not Peter Parkers,
That's true.
which was a thing that I was kind of like bummed about the chase scenes. I was kind of like, okay, I get this, and you got to make Miles look good, but I was also like, got to remember those are like all Spider-Man, and it's like there's going to be a handful in there, if not most of them are kind of
Mhm.
also good at like
Superior, ultimate.
right, like they're also really good at swinging and dodging, and and I get it, it's like a kids movie and you got to have Miles be the hero and be cool, but I was also thinking like, yeah, but you also have like some pretty, there's obviously other Spider-Mans in there who are just as good as him, if not 1,000 times more good than him. It's just
Well, I
like,
think if Gwen was really trying, I think could have been the one to get him too.
true, true.
Plus, like you really think that like 2099 would. I mean, he's got like he was like
Yeah,
very ruthless about like slicing and dicing with his
true.
like blades and his like trying to bite him.
So what do you think that is? Like, what do you think that's all about? I don't understand because I thought when I first saw him try to munch the vulture, the like Da Vinci vulture guy, I thought maybe he was like Morbius or something.
Mm. You know, I so I'm not super caught up like with that like timeline, that era.
Okay.
I always knew that like 2099 was cool because his suit was cool. You know, he was a cool dude. But the whole
Yeah.
like vampire thing, like I really don't remember it being. Um, my best guess would be that like he was bit by like a vampire spider or something.
Yeah, I
So
mean the
maybe like
interesting
he
thing
needs blood too. I don't know.
the thing that was really interesting was just the fact that uh like he had to keep getting bit.
Well, it implies that yeah. It also
Oh,
implies that he's like old, like a vamp, like he's been around for a while.
oh, it says he has fangs.
Yeah.
And I never knew that. I thought he was just like just a future.
Huh. That's kind of interesting. I mean, and spiders have fangs too, so.
He goes to Alchemix school, which is cool.
Mhm.
Oh, which just says it's heavily implied to be a renovated version of the X-Men's headquarters.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool. I'm just trying to see what. Yeah, it's just interesting. I just wondered why. I wonder if it's like just like a spider side of him is he has to
Mm.
bite. You know what I mean? Like bite and then eat people like real spiders.
I like that. I like the idea of that.
Yeah.
That's
I
kind
mean,
of
it's
cool.
a what's the odd one called? The one that's like he is a spider. Is it called man spider? Is that what he's
Oh
called?
yeah, with the forearms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always like the like flip on the hero, and he's because there's like a man bat in Batman stuff, and he's just
Oh
like
yeah.
he's a full on bat person. It's all I always like those like crazy
Well,
opposites
there's
that they do in the comics.
yeah, that is true. Hey, you might be talking about. Are you talking about the one that's like he looks like all like full on like grotesque like spider like face
Yeah,
and yeah.
yeah.
I think that's man spider. I think there's a version of Riley where he's got two arms here. He's got four arms.
Oh yes, yes. I've
So
seen the
he's
other ones
got eight.
where
He's got like
Spider-Man
eight
has like
altogether.
more. Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah, I
And
know
I
what
think
you
that's
mean.
either a clone or it's a like serum he tried to like make himself stronger or something. And I have no idea.
Yeah,
I didn't notice him in the background anywhere, did you? Four armed Spider-Man.
I'm sure he was there, but
Yeah.
the one I liked that I did see was the black like jumper, but like the heavy metal,
Oh
like
yeah.
the silver like hard metal
I love
Spider-Man
that one.
costume.
Yeah, it's
Me
like
too. Yeah.
armor spider. Even the when the that ship first lands and like all the spider people come out to like deal with that like ink thing
Oh
on
yeah.
in the Indian,
Yeah.
the one that like jumps down, it's in the Sony game, it's like Iron Spider 2 or something where it's like it looks like Iron Man armor, like red, and it's got like this bike helmet, and he's got
Oh
like this
yes.
full on
Yes.
like armor suit,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that he
Yes.
was
Yes.
one of
Yes.
those ones there too. But here's what I'm thinking about this whole like canon timeline thing. And it's interesting because when they show 2099's that universe that he's in, when they show it imploding, it looks like when you're in the wrong universe and everything's glitchy.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That's what they show. That's how they show like the city collapsing and like crumbling and like glitching and like the whole universe basically just like glitches out of existence.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
But for, and I'm never going to be able to say his name correctly, the Indian Yo-Yo
Oh
Spider-Man,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
when his canon event gets avoided, like Miles saves Inspector Stacy from that timeline. Like all that happens is that one of Ink's like holes is left, and part of the city is like going into the hole. And like,
Right.
yeah, that's like a side effect from like Ink, but it's not like stuff's not like glitching and like imploding on itself.
Yeah. I know. It was a weird. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Because there's a statement later on too. So like that computer, that AI like computer girl,
Yeah. 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 The Avatar
somebody
thing.
said
Yeah.
like, is it a guarantee that is always going to happen? And she says something, and I don't remember what exactly it was, but it was like it was implied that it's not 100%.
Yes. 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 Her and the weird like hologram
Yeah,
person.
the VR,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So you can tell it's like something they don't necessarily like super believe in, that it's like it's a hard fast rule. Could be a
Yeah.
lot
I
of other
almost. Well.
factors.
I think what you're probably going to end up, what we're going to end up learning in the third movie is that, like, what he ends up telling Peter is like kind of true, but also not true. And it could be a thing where he's doing this so that he can get back to where he wants to go.
Hmm.
You know
That
what I
could
mean?
very well be.
Oh no, it has to be like this. You have to let these things happen, otherwise he can't benefit from it.
So
Like he's
he
not
can find
protecting the
the perfect
multiverse,
universe.
right?
Yeah, and now because even though it's like a Sony movie, the thing that still comes to mind is like the multiverse.
Yeah,
So like, and that is set up to be like they stop Loki because Loki brings about the complete destruction of that universe or the
right,
branch
right,
from that universe. So it's like a universe ending thing.
right.
And the Spider-Verse is just like, oh well, you basically don't become like the best version of Spider-Man if like you don't let Captain Stacy die.
Right.
It's like, okay.
Yeah. It's an
But yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
so to continue on to like the storyline, yeah, kind of like after that. So like obviously like Miles is like bent on getting back to his Earth.
I mean,
And
yeah.
so that's kind of like the whole like end part of the movie. And I wasn't like super paying attention to the time. But I was
Yeah, yeah.
getting to think like how they're gonna wrap
Like, how are they
they're
going to
gonna
wrap
wrap
this up
this
in
up.
like 20 minutes?
So that machine scans your DNA. So it's kind of like a it's like a discipline thing too they use. It's like if you don't do what 2099 likes, he will scan your
Oh,
DNA
yeah.
and he'll send you back to your universe where everything sucks.
Right. Yeah, right, right.
So Miles uses it. They scan his DNA and they send him back to his universe. Like, great. Then
Yeah,
Gwen gets sent back to her universe,
yeah.
where she confronts her dad. Her dad like tells her
Right,
like he left the force. He's not, he's not a cop anymore. He's not captain anymore. So now like he's safe from the canon, essentially.
right.
And then he gives her this box and it's from punk rock Spider-Man. It's all,
Yeah,
drawn
yeah,
and like really cool. And it's one of the wristwatch things.
yeah.
So she uses it to go to Miles' universe. And so there's this really cool scene where like Miles is on the run in his universe to get to his parents' house.
Right.
And Gwen is also kind of doing the same thing. And they frame it in such a way where like Miles is having a conversation with his mom,
Yeah,
and you think Gwen Stacy's right outside the window.
100%. Yeah,
Oh, okay, cool. But then it shows her going into the room and nobody's in the room. And so immediately I think like, oh, okay, so they left the bedroom. They're not talking in the bedroom. And then I kind of come to this realization, oh, maybe he's at his dorm room. And I was like, no, he's not at the dorm room. I said, oh, well, she's in the building, she's in his
like the
parents'
next
room,
room
like
over or
next door.
whatever. Right. Yeah.
And then she gets her spider sense. And she goes, he's in the wrong universe. And I was like, oh my God. So like now my brain is like the machine scans his spider DNA, which is from universe 42, and
Yeah.
it takes him to 42. So like now you're in 42 and it's crazy. Like it's bad. There's no Spider-Man, there's no Avengers or nothing.
Right.
So it's like, and you slowly start to see like his dad is dead. Uncle Aaron is still there. And Miles gets captured, and there's this whole reveal of like, okay, Miles is like, I know you're the Prowler, but doesn't matter. And he's like, oh, I'm not the Prowler. And in that
Yeah.
universe, Miles is the Prowler. And it's one of those things to me where it's so easy and it's so like kind of on the nose,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's so cool. Like
Yeah. It's so
it's
well
so
done.
cool.
Yeah, it's done
And
really,
he's
really
awesome.
well.
He's got like his dreads. He's this like super menacing. Like he looks great.
Yeah, it's funny too, because like our buddy Andy caught on the 42 thing, but then was just like,
Mm-hmm.
well, whatever. He played it off because he was like, oh, whatever, like everything's fine, I guess, like didn't matter. And it's true. Like I'm sure there's gonna be people out there who've seen it and they're like, oh, I knew it was gonna happen, but
Mm-hmm.
like genuinely, I was like,
I
huh,
didn't I didn't see
yeah.
it coming.
I was just as confused as you were, but I was like something, but I knew something wasn't right. I didn't keep thinking like, well, she must be in a different room. I was like, nah, something's not adding up here. I was like, something weird is happening. And then, even when he got hit by the Prowler, I thought it was like, Spider 99 was like smashing him. I didn't
Yeah.
think, and then he's tied up in the thing with his uncle, and I was like, okay, well somebody hit him, and like I guess the uncle tied him up or whatever. Like I don't know. Like I don't know what's happening here. Like
Yeah.
I never thought when they were. It wasn't until he was like, "I'm not the Prowler." I was like, "Oh," and then I was like, "Oh, Miles is the Prowler." I like immediately put it together.
Yeah.
Like when he was
Yeah.
like, "I'm not the Prowler." I was like,
That's so cool. It's so cool, like to have that be the reverse. And so that kind of led into like our theories, like moving forward. Because this whole story has kind of been like setting up the fact that like you don't have to let what's supposed to happen for
"Yeah,
like you to move on with your story. But in the other way, like the reverse of that is also Miles in 42 Miles becomes the Prowler because his father dies and there's a void and he just turns to a life of like just crime basically.
yeah,
So now it's like, does
Yeah.
Does our Miles have to prove that, like, if he lets his father die, he's not going to become the villain? He's still going to be like a true Spider-Man, even though he's not supposed to be. Like, prove everybody wrong
Yeah.
that
That's
like
what
he is
that's
supposed
what
to
I
be
want
Spider-Man.
to.
So I'm glad I'm not writing it.
Yeah, I'm interested. Yeah, yeah. Tell me about it. I'm really interested to see what they end up doing with it because it's like
Yeah,
it can go either way, like you're saying. Like, is he just gonna come to the realization that like this is it has to be done?
yeah,
Kind of like what Peter B. Parker was saying. Like, yeah, bad stuff happens, man. Like this
yeah.
is part of it. This is part of the journey. Or is he going to be like, nah, like he's kind of been doing this whole time, where it's like, no, I'm my own guy. Like, I'm not you. I'm not Peter Parker. Like, I do
Yeah.
my own thing.
I can see both. That's the thing, is I can see both being, you know,
Yeah,
and I
same.
can I
Yeah,
can also
yeah,
see liking both too.
yeah.
Like if it's one or the other, I won't be like disappointed that they didn't do the other version.
No, 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 no.
It was also kind of too like at that time point where like Uncle Aaron has him like tied to the like bag, the punching bag.
Hmm.
I was like, we have got to be like super close to like the runtime. Like and I was like, dude, what if they just end it? And it was like 10 minutes later, it was like to be continued. I was like, oh my God, that's so good.
Yeah, I
Like
think
I
the
really,
music was a big let on, right? Like the big
yeah.
build of
Dude,
music, it was like, down, 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 it was just getting louder, and I was like, this feels like the movie's ending.
I love that because that is comics, man. I mean, that is like
Oh yeah,
they don't just wrap stuff.
very
Every
much.
issue doesn't just wrap stuff up. It's like you have this movie,
No,
and this movie is very much like you said the first time. You love the fact that it says like in association with like comics, like the comic code. Like you love that. And they show that again. And then like
yeah,
there's even parts like I can't even read everything that's going on because like they're doing stuff. And then like in the corner, they'll be like, oh, this means this in this language.
yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
cool. There's like subtitles, like subtext and stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I liked when he was getting punched. He was getting hit and smashed and doing stuff in the Indian thing. And every time he got hit, it would be like Indian Sanskrit would come up when he would hit the wall. Instead of it saying like smash in English, it would be what I assume is
Yeah.
smash in
Yeah.
Indian. You
It's
know, I
awesome.
really, really, really like that. And I
I
also
like that
like,
he's got a yo-yo too. That was kind of cool. Like he's
yeah, that is called something. It's like a yo-yo, and it's called something. I can't think of what it's called, but
I
yeah.
also like his rant on chai tea. That's great.
Oh, chai and naan, right? Because he was saying
Yeah.
naan bread is like saying bread, bread.
Yeah,
But I
naan
liked
is
it,
bread and chai is tea.
right? The thing I liked was it played to the opening thing with he was like, "Why do you keep saying ATM machine?"
Oh,
He's like,
exactly. Yeah.
he's like,
The M stands for machine.
and I was like, "This is great because this is also like, it's clearly like a Spider-Man thing, you know? It's like a
That's
thing."
that's the line too that I love that Peter B. Parker says to
Mm.
2099. He goes, you know, you're the only Spider-Man that's like not funny.
It's
There's this
true.
entire
Yeah,
universe of Spider-Man, and they're all quippy, they're all fast on responses, they're all like
yeah,
cocky. And 2099 is just this he's basically Batman. He's this brooding,
yeah,
just
yeah, right, yeah,
mad person,
yeah,
He's like, you know, you're the only one's not fun. You're not funny. I love that. I love that.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I really like the ending. I really like that it ends like that. And
Me too. No, me too. And I love seeing all the ridiculous. I mean, the
yeah,
cat spider and the dinosaur spider was fine, but I really, really liked seeing all of those different Spider-Men and like chasing
tons,
him and how they were coming after him. And
tons of references too. Like I
I don't
kept
know, it
like
was really, really good.
every time Bombastic Bagman would show up, I'm like Bombastic Bagman. I was like so happy.
Yeah. You know, somewhere out there, like New Rock Stars or somewhere, is going to be like
Oh,
frame by frame, and they're going to be like, look at that Spider-Man, look at that Spider-Man.
I was gonna watch it before this, and I just was like, I can't do it because it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
Because that's what's kind of cool is like there's so many like canon Spider-Mans that you can like pull from and like put in the background.
Oh yeah.
But then also like this guy over here, like in behind you, like that green guy looks like a Ninja Turtle. That's
Oh
just a
yeah.
Spider-Man. It's green. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. 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 Don't matter.
So
And I think it. No,
yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's of note of like having live action people in it, which was nice. Which was a pretty big pull away from the original movie. Like not
That's
only
literally what
showing.
yeah.
Oh, whatever you're gonna say.
That was literally what I was just gonna talk. I was gonna say, so like talk about like the live action cameos that were pretty awesome.
I mean, not only did they show footage from Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man, which was fine. It's
Yeah.
cool to see those guys in the movie. Um, I think honestly, the two shocking things, and it was. I'm glad that you had finally seen Venom recently because I don't
Yeah.
think you would have known who that lady was
Yeah,
because that
that's
was
true.
funny.
The kid next
Um,
to me was freaking out.
was he really?
Yeah. He's like,
That,
that's the Venom lady. That's like the clerk. She works at the gas station from Venom.
that's hilarious. And I'm really interested to see if the Donald Glover Prowler character is the actual MCU guy or if he's just like a variant. I
I
would
don't
assume
care.
he
Either
is for
way,
them
just
to, yeah.
that's just the cherry on the top, man. It's
Yeah,
I mean, that's playing into like a deleted scene,
yeah,
from
yeah,
Homecoming, right? It's like you kind of have
yeah.
that like idea that that's kind of who that is. But in that
Right, right,
deleted
right, right.
scene specifically, he's literally like Tom Holland has like webbed him to the hood of the car that he's trying to steal. And with his other
Right.
hand, he calls and he goes, "Hey, Miles, I just want you to know I'm not going to make it tonight."
Yeah,
So it's like,
yeah,
oh, cool. So that is seeing him as the Prowler. It's so cool. So,
yeah.
so
Because I
here's
think
the thing
somewhere
that I know
too,
about like
when
props.
Spider-Man pulls up the Tony Stark like computer stuff.
Yeah.
I think it says Alias. I think it says the Prowler.
Well, really?
It's a blink and you miss it scene when they show the like when he like scans his face to see who he is.
Is his
I'm
name
almost positive it
is his
says
name
like
Aaron?
it says like his birthday and all that stuff. Like it gives all this context to his character.
Mm.
It's definitely a blink and you miss it, but yeah.
That's pretty cool. I'll have to look that up. Am I muted?
What were you gonna say? No,
Can,
I can.
oh, okay. Yeah, no. So the thing that I know about like props and costuming, like if they made that suit and like the Prowler suit and the Prowler gauntlets and stuff for just that like 5 second throwaway scene, there's no way.
Yeah,
And the detail they made, it wasn't just like it was like something quick that they made. It was like a full on, like could be like filmed.
yeah. It's really interesting because it's where they leave Tom Holland Spider-Man off. Like it's there's so many open doors now. It's like who knows? And they've been heavily implying the Venom thing is going to be the
Mm-hmm.
next like branching storyline, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm there for it. Either way.
It's funny how like modern day Spider stuff, like MCU and animated, has just been really, really good in comparison to like
Oh,
so much other
absolutely.
content that's come out.
I'm
It's kind of
honestly,
refreshing to actually like,
I'm kind of glad too, honestly, that like they've been kind of shying away from like the Venom stuff, like in Spider-Man,
yeah,
because
yeah,
just like with Batman and Catwoman and Peter and Mary Jane, it's like
yeah,
everything Spider-Man usually is like, oh well, we gotta have Venom. Venom's like this big
yeah,
anti-villain hero.
yeah.
And
I
so
agree.
I think even like the Sony Spider-Man 2 video game is gonna have like Venom like heavily like that symbiote suit and stuff I've seen. And I've been trying not
Yeah,
to like watch trailers of it because like I don't want to see anything. I just want to play it.
yeah,
But I'm fine with it. If it's done well, I'm fine with it. But I after Tobey Maguire 3, Spider-Man 3. I just was like, I don't want to see Venom like ever. I don't want to see him ever.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you.
But Eddie, Tom Holland Spider-Man I watched recently, and like, yeah, that's pretty good. It's
It's
fine.
fine.
At
Yeah,
least he looks like Venom. He sounds like Venom. He's this big,
yeah,
brooding. It's whatever. It's great.
yeah.
He doesn't swing. He didn't swing in the movie. Venom, he always had his like it came out of his
Yeah,
he had the white spatch, right? On so he like swings through.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's the really one bad thing about those movies is the second movie is really bad.
Uh-huh.
It's really, really bad. But
Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty bad.
yeah,
That one specifically.
I don't know. I went and watched it specifically because it was like there's a Tom Holland Easter egg in it. I was like, oh, okay. It wasn't worth it.
Yeah, I didn't watch. So it's crazy to me because like you told me that like I was the first one came out in the trailer and I said, yeah, that
Yeah,
looks pretty good, you know. I'll probably see it sometime. But then the second one came out and they're like, hey, so Woody Harrelson is Carnage. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Like they're doing
yeah,
Carnage? No, they're finally doing Carnage. Like we have never seen like a live action
right.
Carnage. And I was like, man, that looks sweet. And you saw it and you're like, no. No, it's not even don't even wait. Like how could it be that bad?
I don't know. It's rough, man. It's rough. Woody Harrelson's good in it, and it's obviously it's another one of those cases of you have really really great actors trying to keep this thing afloat.
Mhm. Really bad writing, storyline.
Yeah, just bad writing and just bad. It's not bad acting. It's just bad story progression and beats and yeah.
I
It's just
wish
yeah
Sony would kind of like really learn from like these movies, specifically the Spider-Verse movies, where they can just say, hey, look, we don't, just make a Spider-Man movie and like you guys are fans and you love the media, just make a movie. Like we're not gonna
just do
nitpick
it.
it.
Yeah, yeah. Me too. I wish they. Well, I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, the same issue that they had with Venom 2 is the same issue they had with Morbius. Like it was
Oh
terrible.
God,
Like
don't
people
even
hated it. No, but
I
I
didn't
know
eat
that's
that. Yeah.
but that's my point. Is like you have Adrian Toomes from the MCU in it. It's like how is it? How could it be bad? Michael Keaton is amazing, but it's like it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
well, he's in it for 3 seconds.
Right, 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 right.
But yeah, well, so here's the problem they had. I hate to say it too, because like I don't hate Jared Leto,
No,
but some of the things that he's attached his names to lately, it's just the worst crap I've ever seen. Like that's
yeah,
putting it lightly. Like his interpretation of the Joker, if that was the first time I ever saw Joker, I never would want to watch
yeah,
another thing that have to do with Joker ever again. And his Morbius was like, fine. Like it was pretty accurate to the comic, and but it just
right,
I don't know. It just didn't look great, and the storyline didn't look great, and you can just tell the writing was going to be
right, right.
wash.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know.
So it's like it's just like with Henry Cavill. Like I love Henry Cavill. Like he's amazing.
Right.
The way that they like made him portray Superman sucks.
Yeah.
The things that they've done to like Geralt of Rivia sucks. It's like
Yeah. It's just
everything
like
that and he loves both of those medias too. That's the thing. Like
yeah,
he
he
is a
really
super
does.
fan of The Witcher. He's a super fan of Superman. And so like now he's going off to do some Warhammer 44 because
Oh
like he's
yeah,
a
yeah.
super fan of that. And it's like, how many more like I hope I like for me, I hope for him, like if he could just do something and the fans were like, this was great. Like
I know.
I just want it for him.
Well, you would hope. I think in his hand, you would just hope that I think in both cases, I think the studio just got involved and just
Mhm.
ruined what was being made.
So like
You
honestly,
know?
like his portrayal of like Geralt of Rivia from like season one, like his interpretation of Geralt is like great. It's like spot on to the books, and it's fine. It's everything around it that like the fans hated. They couldn't stand like the
Yeah.
storyline. They went in like weird story directions, and then came out to find out that like the director and the writers, they're like,
Yeah.
oh,
Right. Of all things.
we hate the books. Like, what do you mean you hate the books? Like, yeah, we don't like the books. Then why are you making the show? Like, what the frick? Like, what does that even mean? You know, it's like, what is
Yeah.
wrong with you?
I don't know why.
I
Yeah.
don't
I don't know.
understand. I don't understand. If you don't like
Like,
the
don't get
source
them.
material, then do
Don't
something
make it.
else.
Right. Right.
Go work at Disney and make it, go make Little Mermaid or go make, there's 1,000 other movies you can ruin. Like,
Right. Right.
why?
Yeah.
Oh, I just don't
Probably
get
what it
it.
is, like what you hear in like interviews and stuff. I think a lot of it is like they have certain, like the companies who have the rights to these things
Mhm.
have certain directors like on retainer.
Yeah,
So then they're like, okay,
have to use
we
them.
want The Witcher to be done, so we're gonna use Mitch over here, and it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
he
Mitch
and
is
he saw
like,
Lord of the
whatever, I'll
Rings.
do
He
it
saw Lord
for
of the Rings once,
$40 million. They're like, yep,
so
that
he's
sounds
got to
great,
do it.
Mitch. And then they send it to him, and he's like, he reads it, and he's like, what's that?
Are we lagging? Sorry, you were lagging a
Frozen
little bit.
on my screen.
Yeah, you
I'm
froze on my
probably
screen.
frozen on you.
Yeah, yeah, you're frozen. Uh-oh.
I'm back again.
I'm back right here.
Okay. Um,
No, you were talking about Mitch. You're like, yeah, Mitch has been on retainer, and I was like, yeah, he saw Lord of the Rings once, so he's our best candidate to write the Witcher series.
yeah, and they're like, okay, Mitch, like we're gonna give you $40 million to do it. And he's like, great. And he gets the script, and he's just like, oh well, I don't care about any of this. And then he does what he wants.
I hate
I think
fantasy
that's
stuff.
literally what happens. Yeah, exactly.
Dude. Poor Mitch.
Yeah. Let's get
Oh
Mitch
well,
off and get Brian on, whatever. So,
it's just sad. It's just sad that that's how things go.
well, the point is that these movies are not like that.
They are fantastic. If you're a Spider-Man fan like me, growing up, Spider-Man has always been my favorite superhero. These movies,
Oh yeah,
they touch that nerve for me.
yeah. He's the easiest one to like out of all the Marvel guys,
Miles is
anyways.
cool. Like Miles is cool.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh,
remember when
very
he was
cool.
first debuted. So like, what did didn't Marvel do like the new Marvel 42 or something where it was like everything was they redid everything like 10 years ago now.
Oh, the Marvel Now or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. So like Miles like debuted on that comic cover, and I remember then everybody was
Mm,
like, "What? It's not even Peter Parker." But like I said in our review from the first one, like Miles is so cool. He's like
yeah.
he's if you say like, okay, yeah, picture a kid from Brooklyn, and he's a Spider-Man. Like, yeah, that's what I picture.
Yeah.
Like you were saying that scene specifically where Gwen comes to his universe and they're talking and catching up and swinging throughout the city. You were like, it's so cool that like her swinging style is very like fluid and ballerina
Oh yeah.
esque, and it's like it
Yeah.
contributes to like her whole like ballerina style. And
Hmm.
Miles is like very um like basketball like moves like dunking, the spinning,
It's like show off. He likes to
it's
show off.
very cool, right? It's like their
Yeah.
personalities in like the swing pattern.
Yeah.
I love that. He's just
Just
such a
little
cool
stuff
character.
like that. Yeah.
And everybody makes fun of his style. Everyone's like, "Why? It looks like you're
Yeah.
bleeding from your armpits because he's got the red stripes all the way down." The black and red it's so clean,
Yeah.
for a
It's
suit.
great.
It's great
You
for
know, it's one of my
stealth.
it's one of my big nitpicks
Yeah, from the
about
movie.
the movie. Yep.
Mm. Your
It's
your
always a nit.
popcorn didn't have enough butter.
No. Is that it was true it needed more butter, but it was okay.
I didn't even get popcorn. You
Was okay, you'll stick with me. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm here.
Spider-Man 1,
Yes.
when he touches the building and then he looks at his hand and he sees the little claw hairs on his fingers.
How do they stick to
That's what
buildings through
helps
their
him stick
shoes?
to the. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Uh,
I hear you. Okay, so he's
I'm
climbing
sorry,
up the
my
wall.
internet's being really stupid.
Sorry.
Sorry. My internet's dumb. Should be working.
So he's got the little claw finger things on his
Yeah.
on
The
his
hair.
thing, right? Little hairs, and he's climbing the wall. And I was like, that's what I always think of when Spider-Man climbs the walls. Like that's how he's able to do it, right? Because otherwise, like how, right? It's not like a magic
Hmm.
thing. It's based in reality. So when Gwen is first in the movie, she has her ballerina shoes on, and I'm like, nice. Then later she had those like high top sneakers, and I was like,
Yeah.
you shouldn't, your feet can't go through that rubber sole. Like you can't be walking on a wall. That's what I was thinking. I always think that type of stuff because I know that like the spandex suit is like so tight on his body that like those little hairs
Yeah.
stick out. And he can crawl on things.
Well, Miles kind of was walking around on his with his Jordans on too.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's kind of like a yeah, I don't know.
yeah, I know. It's like it's one
And
of
I
these maneuvers. And we're really in
yeah,
comic book.
well, the Jordans wouldn't have grip on the Empire State Building. But in all honesty, I think it's one of those things where like the whole like zoomed in like picture of like the hair was never really
Yeah,
explained or seen until like Sam Raimi did it.
right.
So now your brain that's canon and you're thinking like
Well,
because
yeah,
even before like I think that's just like an attribute like agility
it's
that
a
keeps
way
him
to
up.
make. Well, also he was like mutated because he shoots the fluid out of his wrist, right? So maybe he's just that's how he does it
Yeah.
too. It's like the same thing when they introduced midi chlorians. Now you're like, oh,
Oh
so if I take cells and blood from this guy, this Jedi,
oh
and put it in this guy, like, will he have force abilities? Right?
no.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No, he will not.
Yeah, that's true
Yeah.
too. Yeah, I as soon as you started like explaining the hair and the fingers, I immediately was like, he's gonna say something about the shoes on the wall. And you're
But
right.
I
Yeah,
to
you're right.
to to that to that to that scene where him and Gwen share a
Mm,
nice little moment together up and they're upside down
yeah, it's
is
so
really, really, really
cool.
good. Like
Yeah,
the style of it, the choice of it, like how they held. I know the camera isn't really real, but you know what I mean. Like the
yeah,
the, the shot. It's. I really, really enjoyed it. I kept looking at the background and trying to get lost in
yeah.
it, like trying to really get absorbed by what they were doing.
It was really cool. Like that really stands out to me. Like the two, like sitting there talking, kind of having like this like date type thing. You
Yeah.
know what I when I saw that, you know what I thought was gonna happen
Hmm.
is I thought they were going to play a little bit with like storytelling, and Miles was gonna sit on top and she was going to sit on
Oh.
the bottom. So they're both looking at the same thing. So like showing that like his perspective of New York City is like right, like,
Yes, I see.
and her viewpoint is upside down because of like she's working for the time agent.
Yeah, it's like we're looking at the same thing, but not quite the same. Yeah,
Yeah,
I see what you
she's
mean.
looking at it upside down. He's looking at it from the right perspective. I
Yeah,
kind of thought that's what they were going to do. And plus, it'd just be a cool shot of like the city
absolutely.
and then them.
Yeah.
But no, I really like that they both, it's just one of those things that like, because they're like younger, like kids. They're like, well, we can sit upside down. Why wouldn't we just sit upside down? Like it's just one of those like natural things.
Yeah. There's an interesting shot too that reminded me of it. So when they're talking about potentially like her and Miles maybe might become an item, he
Yeah.
kind of puts his hand over and then she recoils and says, like, yeah, it also doesn't really work out with the Gwens either. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah, because also Gwen Stacy dies, and it's kind of
Mm,
like she's aware of that. So later, beats later, they're in the Indian New York there, and I don't know. I mean, I obviously have to see it again, but I felt like it was a purposeful decision. Gwen was like falling, and like when all the building, like the part of the
Mhm.
building was collapsing and stuff like that, and she falls and he like shoots his web, but she's able to do something extra, and I thought it was a thing where it was like, they're trying to imply
Mhm.
like because you're getting close, like she could die because she's Gwen
Mhm.
Stacy type of thing.
See, I always see it as like Gwen Stacy usually dies just because she's a normal person.
Mm,
So if you have Peter or Miles and Gwen together and they're both like Spider, like I think their
yeah,
chances are significantly higher.
yeah,
Yeah.
true.
The other thing we were talking about right after too is just like the art style is so cool in this movie.
Oh yeah,
I just love like all of the direction they went. And like very specifically, there's like towards the end of the movie, it really started to like stand out to me that like when Miles is in his universe, it's more like bright colors.
yeah,
It's more like how you would expect. Gwen Stacy's universe is more like watercolor or like pastel like
yeah,
colored.
yeah,
And Universe 42, where Miles ends up at the end, is very much like hard light, like red on this side, blue on this side,
yeah,
like edge lighting, like bright color edge lighting to show that
right,
like that city is like destroyed and there's
yeah,
like fire in the sky and everything is like has a red tint. I love that. I love every
yeah.
art style to show like these universes are different and they look different.
Yeah, because like even that, like the Indian one, like their culture is
Yeah.
known for like really enjoying color. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
every shot is like
I love
super
that.
colorful and like super like, and
I
like
love
also
that.
it was cool that like the punk rock guy was all like newspaper type stuff. It was like
Yeah.
newspaper clippings and
It's super cool.
stuff like that. Like it was almost like anarchy. I don't want to say like
Yeah.
serial killer like notes, but you know what I mean. It was that type of thing where it just felt like it
Well,
was
that's the
all
whole
it was chaotic.
like
Yeah,
British punk rock thing is like buck
right.
the system basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you was it just me or does he look does he basically look like he's a Miles version from that universe?
Yeah, yeah, I could
Like, doesn't
definitely
he?
see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Yeah. I really honestly that was a really cool beat that I was like, man, that makes so much sense. I really like that that's his whole character is like push
Yeah.
against the grain.
Yeah,
And I
hates it.
really like that he was the one who was like, no man, push your hand on the thing to get out of the 2099
Yeah. I
Spider-Man's
know,
trap
and he told him that like early. Like early
early.
on. Yeah.
And then he gives Gwen the thing. He's like, just in case this goes sideways. It's like, man, I really, really, really like that. And then he bounced too. He was like, yeah, forget it. I'm not doing that. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Well, that's the other thing
Yeah.
too, that like he gives her that wristwatch and like obviously he has it programmed to like Miles universe.
Yeah.
So that's where she goes. So another reason why like I didn't think anything about like
True.
Miles wouldn't be there. But yeah, so the
Yeah.
movie ends with Miles captured by the Prowler and Uncle Aaron, and Gwen goes and gets B Parker and the cast from the first one. She gets like
Yeah. I think
what's
the
her name?
punk guy.
Miyuki. She's got like a brand new
Oh yeah.
robot. Yeah.
The new robot. You had Spider Ham,
Yeah, he was there.
Spider Noir. He was there.
Yeah.
And then I think the Indian one
Yeah, and the
and
punk guy
the
was there.
and the punk guy was there. Yeah.
And I think the VR girl was there too.
Oh yes, and the VR girl. Yes, 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 yes.
So that's interesting. Because even she let Miles go too. She had the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
ability to
She
like
had the
reboot the system.
yeah.
So you can kind of tell that like 2099's like whole like
There's something there,
system is
right?
kind
Yeah.
of people don't really love it.
Nope.
That's that's weird. Being like captured and making you like let your family members die. That's weird.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's why I love like that's kind of the whole theme is like we're supposed to be the good guys.
Right,
It's like
right,
no,
right.
you're going to die and you have to let it happen. Like no, that's not that's not what we're about,
Yeah.
We're
Yep.
supposed to be the neighborhood friendly Spider-Man. We're supposed to save the
Yeah.
little guy. We're not supposed to just listen to some idiot tell us what to
Yeah. So
do.
who's not even from my
You're not even
where I
Madam
live.
Web, dude. I'm not listening to you.
Yeah.
That's why I said, like, how funny would that be? Like, if in the third movie it's like 2099, he thinks like he's been in control the whole time. And then Madam Web's like, no, I basically just been pulling your strings, buddy.
Yeah. I feel like I think the two. I think like, she's definitely going to be in the third one. There's no way she's not going to be in the third one. They've done so many crazy things with these
Mm-hmm.
movies. There's just no way. And obviously, like showing the interconnection with all the Spider Mans is like a big beat. But
Yeah,
I
I think
think,
so.
especially when it's called Beyond the Spider Verse, that's what the next one's
Yeah.
called. So it's even like right. But the other thing I was thinking too is if the choice doesn't come down to rescuing his dad or letting his dad die, like if that's not the hinge, I almost wonder if the hinge is like, does he stop himself from getting bit like altogether and lets that Peter
Oh
Parker
wow.
like be
Jeez.
Spider Man?
Well, I know that's crazy. That's a good theory.
Because I was
There's
kind of sad that there was no Chris Pine Spider Man because I'm in it for that. I'd watch a Chris Pine
yeah,
Spider Man
right.
in a minute. I'd watch it in a heartbeat.
He was
He was
so
really
good.
really good. Yeah,
Yeah, his voice
never
was
thought I would
great.
need that, but his like quippy, yeah. I just like
He
how he's really good
sounds
at it. Like him as an actor, he's really good at that stuff.
he sounds like the Spider-Man that like I always pictured when I was like reading the comics as a kid.
Right? Right?
Like,
Yeah.
isn't that weird? Like,
Yeah, it is.
now
Yeah.
there's a way that he could save his dad too. Like, all he has to do is like tell his dad that he's Spider-Man, and his dad would have enough guilt where he like steps down from being the captain.
Mm, that's true. Yeah, you
Or you
almost
can
now
just
that I think about it, you almost can feel that he'll just give up getting bit.
yeah.
Like it's okay. I don't have to be Spider-Man. Like that's the big
Yeah.
reveal is like, yeah, you're right. All these things have to happen for me to be Spider-Man, but if I go back and I don't even allow the bite to happen, like so what? Now Spider-Man, I'm not Spider-Man.
The bite of 86.
Yeah, yeah.
87, isn't it 87?
Yeah, I think it's 87, but
That's the bite of
by
87.
I think it's 87 and 84. I think there's like two separate bites. That's what's crazy about this.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's like
Um
where's the blacksmith? those two things. Yeah.
oh man, that's so funny. Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, that was fun. That was fun seeing it, and
It was really nice. I enjoyed it.
yeah, it was a good movie. It was a good movie. It really makes what we have to do at the end of the month a little bit more enjoyable. It's like a countdown
Maybe.
now.
Maybe.
It's like a countdown now. Like a couple months ago when you said, "Hey, let's do this Indiana thing." It's like, yeah, I love that. That's a great idea. And now here we are. Crystal Skull
Yeah.
next. Dial of Destiny after that. We know what we have to do, and I just don't know if I don't know if I'm strong enough to do it, Will. I know what I have to do, but I just don't think I'm strong enough.
We're gonna have to let Captain Stacy die.
It's funny because like I'm quoting Ben Solo, and that's
Yeah.
like literally what he says to Indiana Jones, like on the bridge there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then he kills him. Yeah, I have to kill Indy. That's basically what I'm saying. He's like, I have to kill Indy.
You have to in your heart. Kalima.
Cali man. Huh.
No,
Oh
no.
boy.
Well,
Yeah, it's
this is the
fine.
way I look at it. This is the way I look at it. I'm hoping with watching Crystal Skull a little bit older, I'll be able to handle it a little bit.
Mhm.
And
I
I won't
just
be like, this is
always
hot garbage. I'll be like, it's not great, but I'll get through it.
I always flash to the South Park episode where they were showing the kids going to see the Indiana Jones thing.
Yeah.
And it's just George and Steven, and they're just,
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's funny. And now, like, here we are again, and I'm just like, oh my God. If that is not, but they don't even have anything to do with it now. So that's
No, not
it's
really.
like,
No.
now it's like, it's Phoebe and,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's good stuff. Oh man, yeah,
We'll
but we don't
see.
need to
We'll
talk
see.
bad about. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk enough in the next episode. And yeah,
See what happens.
so that's what we got coming down the pipes. You guys know it. You guys love it. Indiana Jones, Crystal Skull, and Dial of Destiny.
But on the
yeah.
good side of the horizon, there is Secret Invasion.
That's right. Yeah.
So.
But better for me is we got a Dragon Ball series coming out. That for me, honestly, is like that for me is super exciting. Like I'm really looking for it. Like Dial of Destiny. Can't bring me down from that. Can't.
You're riding high, man. You got a great Spider-Man movie, and now you're going to talk about Dragon Ball.
It's good to be me.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so that's what's coming out. We got Last Crusade will go up. Should already have seen that. And then this will come out probably Monday or Tuesday. I'll put this out. I like to let this. I like to do this as as soon as we see it, but also kind of let opening weekend kind of get by before anybody.
Yeah.
We try to do a good job opening weekend to really not spoil anything either too. So
yeah.
So yeah, you're seeing this, and then you will probably see Dragon Ball and then Crystal Skull. Because Dial's at the end of the month, so yeah,
I won't see that until
I'll
July.
I'll just put both of those reviews out the same day. Crystal Skull and
yeah, because they'll both be 20 minutes long.
We're just gonna do them both in the same episode.
Yeah, we'll be like, we still don't like Crystal Skull. It's really terrible. Okay, transition.
Yeah, it wasn't that great. Didn't like it. All right. Well, we'll see you next week for Dragon Ball.
for Dragon Ball and Secret Invasion. Yeah.
It's sad.
It's okay. It's okay.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you for joining me, Will, and talking about my favorite Spider-Man.
Of course.
And then, so we will catch all of you guys in the next episode.
Your powers combined, I am Captain Planet!
Welcome to the Space Jam.